The diversity of animals on our planet is breathtaking. Millions of species adapted to all kinds of habitats. Ever since Darwin, understanding how so many species evolved has been a major quest of biology and biologists like Jonathan Losses. In the Caribbean, he's studying a remarkable group of lizards.
She will be back.
He's finding clues to their origins in their bodies, their lifestyles, and in their DNA.
There.
These lizards are providing fresh insight into both how new species form and why our world is filled with so many creatures. Here in Puerto Rico, Jonathan is stalking lizards called anoles.
Okay, here we go.
With almost 30 years of practice, he's a pro at catching them.
Come on. There we go.
Puerto Rico's anoles all feed on similar food, mostly small prey like spiders and crickets. But they divide up their habitats in a clever way. The long-tailed slender species Jonathan caught lives in grasses and bushes and is called a grass bush anole. On the low parts of tree trunks and on the ground, a longer-legged, stockier species forages, called a trunk ground anole. This slender lizard is called a twig anole. Further up the tree is yet another species. Like apartment dwellers, each species lives in a different vertical space. But here, each floor offers unique evolutionary opportunities to its inhabitants. The fact that lizards differ in leg length and toe pad size, depending on where they live, suggests that these differences in traits are adaptations to the lizard's habitats. The shorter-legged twig lizard is not nearly as fast. It seems like a disadvantage. Why aren't their legs longer?
If you will hold.
Jonathan puts a twig lizard on a thin branch to demonstrate.
All right, let's see how he does. There we go.
Looks pretty comfortable there.
Yep. Just what they love.
Instead of speed, the twig lizard's legs provide a firm grasp. On twigs, long legs only increase the chance of falling. So ground lizards have evolved long legs, and twig lizards short ones that enabled their lifestyles. Next, we compare how well two species can climb the slick surfaces of leaves. Anoles have different sized toe pads on their feet. We'll see if these help them navigate different environments. But how do these adaptations arise? Jonathan and his colleagues wanted to see if they could observe the lizard's traits evolve by conducting another kind of experiment. Their inspiration was the rapidly changing environment of some of the smallest Caribbean islands. Hurricanes occasionally swamp these tiny islands, scrubbing them free of lizards. The team realized they could use the depleted islands as laboratories. They began their experiment by capturing tree-dwelling anoles on a larger island. Then they visited 7 islands that a hurricane had cleared of lizards. On each, they placed a female and male anole.
There's too much vegetation.
Yeah, it's just
These islands have no trees, only small bushes.
In the sun or in the shade?
How would the long-legged lizards fare on thin branches? The next year, the scientists returned.
She will be back.
They found that the mating pairs they had introduced not only survived, but reproduced. And the new population had grown and taken to living on thin branches.
And now she's in my noose.
Good.
The scientists collected the lizards. They brought them back to their field lab, took X-rays to precisely measure the length of their legs, and scanned their toe pads. Then they returned each lizard to the exact spot where they had found it.
Okay. All right. Well,
Now they had baseline data on the new populations. A year later, they came back.
all right. I think he gave us a slip. Okay. Excellent.
And discovered that the average lizard leg had shortened in just 2 generations. Adaptations like these explain how different body types evolve, but they do not explain how new Anole species arise. It's changes in other traits that play a key role in speciation. 2 groups of animals are defined as different species when individuals from one group don't mate and reproduce with those from the other. So for a population to become a new species, something has to prevent its members from breeding with members of closely related populations. This is called reproductive isolation. One way a species can split into 2 is for populations to separate geographically. Over many generations, they can undergo enough changes in their respective habitats that if and when they come back together again, they don't mate. So what kind of changes keep anoles from mating? Anoles have a flap of skin under their throats called a dewlap, which males display to attract females. And remarkably, every species in the same area has a different dewlap. So a change in a dewlap is a critical step in the formation of new Anole species.
Habitat.
If for some reason these 2 populations come together, the females would no longer recognize the males as members of the same species. They wouldn't mate. They would be reproductively isolated. Once new species have formed, competition drives the evolution of different body types. Species living in the same area compete for resources. But if members of one species move into another habitat, they can use resources not available to the other species. Over many generations, natural selection favors traits that enable species to occupy different habitats. This process has led to the body types we see in Puerto Rico. And not just there. On each of the Caribbean's 4 largest islands, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Cuba, and Hispaniola, we find the same distribution of similar-looking lizards. Each island has slender grass bush anoles with long tails, long-legged trunk ground anoles, short-legged twig anoles, and canopy anoles with large toe pads. How did each island end up with the same body types? Did each body type evolve once and then spread to the other islands? Or did each type evolve independently on each island? To find out, Jonathan and his colleagues sequenced the DNA of anoles from each island. They examined the same stretch of DNA from many species to uncover their evolutionary relationships. After determining which two species were most closely related, they joined them together with a node representing a common ancestor. Then they joined these to the next most closely related, until all the lizards were united in a phylogenetic tree. The DNA revealed a pattern consistent with this. Lizards on each island tend to be more closely related to each other than to similar-looking lizards on different islands. That means that generally the same types of lizards evolved independently on each island. Moreover, this repeated filling of habitats on each island by anoles illustrates why our planet has so many species. And each habitat provides numerous ways to survive. In the Serengeti, zebras eat the tallest, coarsest grass. Wildebeest, the medium-height grass. And Thompson's gazelles, the shortest. In the Galapagos, some finches primarily eat seeds on the ground, and others, insects in the trees.